The Kybalion and the 7 Hermetic Principles that will change your life. What if everything you think you know about reality is backwards? What if your mind isn't just observing the universe, but creating it? What if every struggle you face, every pattern you repeat, every limitation you accept, exists only because you haven't understood the fundamental laws that govern all existence? In 1908, 3 mysterious authors calling themselves the Three Initiates published a small book that would shatter the worldview of anyone brave enough to truly understand its contents. The Kybalion, 7 Principles, 7 Keys to Reality, 7 Truths so profound that once you see them, you can never unsee them. Today, we're going to explore these principles, but I warn you, this knowledge comes with a price, the price of responsibility. The responsibility of knowing that you are far more powerful than you ever imagined. Are you ready? Principle 1. The all is mind. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Stop for a moment. Look around you. What do you see? Solid objects? Fixed reality? A world that exists independently of your consciousness? You're looking at it wrong. Everything you perceive, everything you experience, everything you call reality exists first in mind. Not your individual mind, but the mind. The universal consciousness of which your awareness is just a tiny fragment. This isn't metaphor. This isn't philosophy. This is the fundamental nature of existence. Your thoughts don't just influence your reality. They are your reality. The house you live in, the relationships you have, the problems you face, the successes you achieve. All of it began as mental constructs before manifesting in what you call the physical world. More intimate. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. If everything is mind, if reality is mental, then every limitation in your life exists because you've accepted it mentally first. Every pattern you repeat, every struggle you can't escape, every door that seems permanently closed, you're the one keeping it that way. Your poverty is a mental construct. Your loneliness is a mental construct. Your fear is a mental construct. And that means they can be mentally reconstructed, building emotion. But most people will never accept this truth, because accepting it means accepting total responsibility for everything in their lives. It means giving up the comfortable story that they're victims of circumstances beyond their control. It means acknowledging that they are creators, whether they realize it or not. Principle 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. The pattern of your daily life is the pattern of your entire existence. The way you treat the small things reveals how you approach everything. The chaos in your room reflects the chaos in your mind. The disorder in your relationships mirrors the conflict within your soul. Building intensity. You think these are separate things. You think your external world is disconnected from your internal state. You think you can be one way inside and live completely differently outside. You can't. Pause. The universe operates on fractal principles. The same patterns repeat at every level of existence. What happens in your consciousness happens in your body. What happens in your family happens in your community. What happens in your personal life happens in your professional life. More urgent. This is why changing one thing changes everything. This is why healing one area of your life mysteriously heals others. This is why a shift in consciousness creates shifts in circumstances. Pause. Look at your bank account. Really look at it. What does it tell you about your relationship with abundance, with self-worth, with your ability to receive? Look at your relationships. What patterns repeat? What dramas replay? What roles do you always find yourself in? Emotional build. These aren't accidents. These aren't coincidences. These are correspondences. Principle 3. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are vibrating, not metaphorically, literally. Every atom in your body is in constant motion. Every thought in your mind carries a frequency. Every emotion you feel is a wave of energy moving through your being. Building intensity. And here's what they don't teach you in school. Your vibration determines your reality. Pause. You don't attract what you want. You don't attract what you think about. You don't attract what you visualize. You attract what you vibrate. More urgent. That depression you can't shake, that anxiety that follows you everywhere, that anger that seems to come from nowhere, those aren't just emotions. They're vibrational states that are literally creating your experience of reality. Pause. When you vibrate at the frequency of fear, you attract fearful experiences. When you vibrate at the frequency of lack, you attract scarcity. When you vibrate at the frequency of unworthiness, you attract situations that confirm your unworthiness. Emotional intensity. But here's the revelation that will change everything. You can change your vibration consciously. Right now, in this moment. Not through positive thinking, not through affirmations, through conscious choice about what frequency you're going to embody. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take either raises your vibration or lowers it. You are constantly tuning yourself to different stations of reality. The question is, what station are you tuned to right now? Principle 4, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Love and hate, hot and cold, light and dark, success and failure. You think these are different things, opposite things, separate things. They're not. They're the same thing, experienced at different degrees. Your greatest strength and your greatest weakness, same energy, different expression. Your deepest fear and your highest aspiration, same force, different direction. Your most destructive pattern and your most creative potential, same power, different application. More intimate. This is why you can't eliminate the parts of yourself you don't like. You can't destroy your shadow. You can't get rid of your darkness. You can only transform it. That rage you're ashamed of, that's passion waiting to be directed. That jealousy you hide, that's desire showing you what you truly want. That depression you fight, that's sensitivity that hasn't found its purpose. Everything in your life that you've labeled as negative is actually a misplaced positive. Everything you see as a problem is actually a solution looking for the right application. But most people spend their entire lives fighting half of themselves, rejecting their darkness, denying their shadow, trying to be only light, only positive, only good. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from their full power. The goal isn't to eliminate the negative. The goal is to master the art of conscious polarity, to choose which end of the pole you're going to express, to transform lower vibrations into higher ones through understanding, not suppression. You are not half a person trying to become whole. You are a whole person learning to express your wholeness consciously. Principle 5, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in, everything has its tides. Your life moves in cycles. Your energy moves in waves. Your consciousness moves in rhythms, building intensity. But you fight this. You fight the natural ebb and flow of existence. You think you should feel the same way every day. You think you should perform at the same level consistently. You think you should always be moving forward, always be growing, always be ascending. You can't. More urgent. There are times to plant and times to harvest, times to expand and times to contract, times to engage and times to withdraw, times to speak and times to listen, times to act and times to rest. When you're in a low phase, you think something is wrong with you. When you're feeling withdrawn, you think you're being antisocial. When you're not motivated, you think you're being lazy. You're not broken, you're breathing. The universe itself breathes, expands and contracts, creates and destroys, gives birth and lets die. And you are part of that cosmic rhythm. The secret is learning to work with the rhythm instead of against it. To rest when it's time to rest. To push when it's time to push. To plant seeds during the dormant phases so they can bloom during the active phases. Stop fighting your natural cycles. Stop judging your low points. Stop trying to be consistently high energy. Start dancing with the rhythm of your own existence. Principle 6, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. There are no accidents in your life. That random encounter that changed everything, not random. That opportunity that came out of nowhere, it came from somewhere. That tragedy that seemed to strike from the blue, there were causes you didn't see. But here's what most people don't understand about cause and effect. You are not just subject to it, you are wielding it. Every moment of every day. More urgent. Every thought you think is a cause set in motion. Every word you speak is a force unleashed into the universe. Every action you take is a stone thrown into the pond of reality, creating ripples that will return to you in ways you can't imagine. The life you're living right now is the effect of causes you set in motion yesterday, last week, last year, perhaps lifetimes ago. And the life you'll be living tomorrow is being determined by the causes you're setting in motion right now. This is simultaneously the most liberating and most terrifying truth you can understand. Liberating because it means you have power, real power, the power to consciously create causes that will generate the effects you want to experience. Terrifying because it means everything in your life, everything, is your responsibility. Most people live as effects. They react to circumstances. They respond to conditions. They let life happen to them. But once you understand this principle, you can become a cause. You can consciously create circumstances. You can deliberately generate conditions. You can make life happen through you. The question is, what causes are you setting in motion today? Principle 7, the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This isn't about men and women. This is about the fundamental creative forces that operate in every aspect of existence. Building intensity. Within you right now are two powers. The masculine principle, focused, decisive, action-oriented, logical, penetrating. And the feminine principle, receptive, intuitive, creative, nurturing, flowing. Every creation requires both. Every breakthrough demands both. Every transformation needs both. But look at your life. Which principle dominates? Are you all action with no receptivity? All logic with no intuition? All pushing with no allowing? Or are you all receptivity with no action? All intuition with no logic? All allowing with no direction? Building emotion. Most people are severely imbalanced. They've developed one side of their creative nature while neglecting the other. And then they wonder why their lives feel stuck, why their dreams don't manifest, why their efforts don't create results. You cannot create effectively from imbalance. You cannot birth new realities without both the masculine force that initiates and the feminine force that gestates. Building to insight. True power comes from the conscious integration of both principles within yourself, learning when to be assertive and when to be receptive, when to think and when to feel, when to speak and when to listen, when to do and when to be. This is the secret of all great creators, all successful people, all fulfilled human beings. They've learned to dance between the masculine and feminine aspects of their own nature. They've become whole. The choice before you. 7 principles, 7 keys to understanding the fundamental nature of reality. But understanding them intellectually changes nothing. Reading about them transforms nothing. Discussing them accomplishes nothing. These principles only have power when you live them, when you embody them, when you let them reshape not just how you think, but how you exist. The universe operates according to precise laws, laws that you can learn, laws that you can work with, laws that you can use to consciously create the reality you want to experience. But first, you have to accept the most uncomfortable truth of all. You are not who you think you are. You are far more powerful, far more creative, far more responsible than you've ever imagined. Final pause. The question is, what are you going to do with that power?